Welcome everybody to Art with Ryan. Today we're going to be talking about Caya Zavaglia. I always try to pronounce her name correctly, but Zavaglia. I said Zavaglia. Yeah, I messed it up. Zavaglia. There's a silent G in there. Well, anyway, today she is having her show in New York. It runs till June 2nd at Lions Wire Gallery in Chelsea. It's on 24th Street, 542 West. It's it's in the area where Jonathan Levine used to be, and it's right across the street from the Gagosian. So it's going to be easy to find there. It's easy to commute there. If you're in New York City, definitely go and take a chance to go look at it. As you can see, I'm already going through the gallery. This is a one-room gallery, and there's not a lot to look at in this studio space, but the things that are in there are really worth looking at. So I really love her work because this is one of those like works, and you're going to look at other pieces and other pieces before. Don't forget, go back and forth and look at this video a couple times because I try to get like different angles and different like depth of fields for you so that you can see like from far away, so that you can see like the different quality of work. And I try to get as close as I can without being kind of too intrusive to the artwork space itself, that you can kind of like see the handmadeness, the true artistic skill. I don't want to say handicraft because I feel like that diminishes it, that gives a stigma to it, but I feel like this is a really good representation of like what's happening with her work and when. Oh, it's so good. She doesn't do commissions, FYI, but she does do amazing work. To me, the thing that I love most about her artwork is the eyes of the people. And if you notice that, like, in how I'm looking at these portraits, one thing that I always zoom into is the eyes. I love the eyes because here she's using fiber, silk fiber, and she gives them such a kind of like, how do you say this? I don't know. There's such a depth of field and a tactileness and a visual dexterity that's really kind of sumptuous to look at from different different angles. Like, these are all pieces that as you look at them, you will see that like it's enjoyable and visually enjoyable to look at. Like, this is probably like 2 or 3 inches away from the actual work itself right now. And I mean, like, I get across the room from them as well, and like they are very visually stunning. Her backgrounds, like, you can see like there's a speckling of paint. That's not what's important here. What's important is the actual portrait itself. And like, look at how what's done here, and how like the idea of thought of like what you have to do to. So I'm going to the side so you can see the shadow, that like the physical shadow that these are casting on the paintings themselves because of their like depth, because how thick thread is. See how like I'm starting from the back, and now I'm like, I'm moving back. Like, it's a beautiful portrait. First, okay, look at the composition. We see a beautiful composition. Very, very, like, symmetrical. And as you go in, you start to see this very voluptuous textile that is like look, moving in as close as I can get without actually touching it. Again, we're probably about 3 to 4 inches away from actually the painting itself. But look at every strand of hair and how, like, this is crazy when you look at it this close. These things are intense. They are so intense, and it's so good. Oh my God. It's so good. It's kind of like Boy Scouts. Intense. Ba-dum-bum. So, I mean, I'm moving back again. But the background is insignificant because all you're really focusing on is this sumptuous, visuals. So there's 2 in the show that are like this, where you can see the back of how she's making it and how, so you can compare it to the front. And that's why I've done these. Now, I like too is that she's using this linen and she's letting the paint come through the back. If you're gonna look at the back side of it, it's really nice to see that the underlayer of painting that she's using almost as gesso is coming through the back, so you have that kind of visual dexterity and that separate texture that's really kind of great to look at. So here on this wall, you got 3 of these. Now, we're going to look at my favorite one first. Which one is it? It's him. I think this was called Jackson, maybe? Or Hudson? I don't know. But let's get in there real close. Look at how her sewing mimics knitting. Like she's placed the thread on it itself so that it also mimics knitting. There's the eyes again. And to think that she's done this with something that people consider to be, you know, a lost art or something. I mean, like, if you compare this to some of the vestments that are currently on view at the Met from the Vatican collection, you'll compare, like, the weavings. Should I add? I think I'm going to add at the very end of this video. You're going to see, before I show you the price list, you'll see that I put in a picture I took at the Met. So you can compare like the depth of field with weaving from the 1800s versus what she's doing here. And I can't tell you enough about being thrilled. Look at the collar. Look at that collar. Look at that collar. Oh, it's so good. I love this little like doo-wop gel do right there. And it's so good. Look at it. You feel here that it doesn't feel photorealistic. It feels very stylized, kind of like when you look at Lucian Freud's like paintings and you see that supple thickness of the paint. I feel like when you look at the skin here, you're getting that Lucian Freudiness, that kind of dexterity and like almost like a Jenny Saville or something going on. Like they're not similar in the way that they're painted, like the subject matter is not, but that texturing and the layering of what she's using. But then neither Jenny Saville nor Lucian Freud have done things with texture like she's done with like the collar on the previous one and the scarf that we're about to look at and the hat from the previous one. Like these to me feel very different in that context. You know what I mean? Like when you zoom in on a Lucian Freud and you see that that very supple richness, I feel like we are getting that with these very, supple, rich threads that she's using, and she's using them to play off of each other so that you have that color vibration happening. But then you look at the weavings of this scarf here, and it's so intense. It's so good. So good. Oh, good heavens. I just adore everything about this. And then look at the hair on that. It's so good. It's one of those, like, again, the eyes. The eyes, the eyes, the eyes. So, I really like these eyes. Oh, now this one is super cool to me. There's a lot of like subtlety to this piece that like she just freaking nails it. Just nails it top to bottom. And it's so good. It's so good. Okay, look at the depth of field in this hoodie and how it looks very abstract, very kind of like Cezanne landscapey-esque. Like she's getting a lot of that like, and then now this part right here, the bottom of the top of the shirt, bottom of the beard. Now let's look at the glasses. These glasses are bananas. And then you got his like wisp of hair that's like going away, and you can see this background painting that she's like already painted and like sewing through it. And look right over the arch of the nose. She's letting that red pour through. I really love her use of color. Look at the lips. Oh. And then my favorite part right there. I didn't get a close-up of the zipper, but if you go back just a second, you'll see it. So This is so good. This is so good to me. So this is what's happening at the Met. It's the Celestial Bodies exhibit. It's the new Met exhibit. So these are Catholic vestments from the late 1700s, early 1800s. And I'm going to zoom in on this. As you can see, there's a full outline. But this is not a painted vestment. This is something that was embroidered. And look at all the detail that you're seeing here. This is something that, it's very comparable in kind of the detail work of like depth of field and color and shading, but the way that they're placed is different. But I did want to show the comparison because I think that it's beautiful to see these things reimagined. Now here is the price list for the different images that are for sale at the gallery, and then here's the one they have in the window. Now don't forget to hit subscribe and then turn the dinger bell on so that you can know when we have our next episode. And thanks for joining Art with Ryan.